I always say this when it's a busy video, we have a lot to go through, and for me to say and to do it quickly, I've got to do it within 15 minutes. I don't want it to go on and on and on, but it's a lot, and it's about David Bowie and his incredibly underrated song, but wonderful song that we're going to hear called Slip Away. Now, Slip Away was inspired, and I'll tell you all about that in a minute, who it's inspired by, but I'm going to tell you now for you to skip if you wish. The introduction will be about the person who inspired David Bowie for this particular song. There'll be a bit about what the song is about. You'll hear David sing it live. Then I'll come back with some incredible information, and I'll do a very quick summary of the lyrics at the very end and what the song means. But it's more or less like a biography, documentary in a very small way and summarized way. And I've thought very carefully how to approach it and how to deliver it for you. So sit back, and I hope you enjoy the information I give you and I've researched about Slip Away, the song that was inspired by this particular man. If you grew up in Jersey anytime, and I got this off Facebook, from the mid-70s to the late 90s, and channeled surfed your cable choices, and who didn't, you probably stumbled upon, and this is really towards American people, because it was an American-inspired comedian and puppeteer who I'll discuss now, and this is what it's referring to in this particular research. And you are probably amazed and entertained by this unassumingly hilarious guy called Floyd Vivino. Known professionally as Uncle Floyd, Vivino was born in Paterson but lived in Point Pleasant, Island Heights, and Glen Rock. Is the creator and host of the comedy variety TV program The Uncle Floyd Show from 1974 to 1998. The show made its debut in UA Columbia Cable TV of New Jersey, now part of Cable Vision, on January the 29th, 74. And during its almost 25-year run, it appeared on many different stations, including the stateswide PBS network, NJN New Jersey network, and WNBC Channel 4 in New York during a small syndication circuit run which included 17 markets. If you haven't seen it, you really have to, in order to believe it, to understand it, and the fascination that it had for David Bowie. A low-budget sketch comedy show that often felt like a fever dream broadcasted from the basement of your mind. And the Uncle Floyd Show was a parody of a kids show, really directed at the wild inner child inside all of us adults. The show featured character comedy, puppetry, some audience participation, musical guests, and Vivino's piano playing. A major highlight of the show was Vivino's puppet sidekick, the adorable, which is on my thumbnail, and irrelevant Oogie, who became part of Vivino's shtick when he was still doing 3 shows a night in Jersey nightclubs and needed as much material as he could muster. Vivino would also often share funny interactions with off-camera staff in a style that has become a successful formula for many contemporary comedy and late-night talk shows. Now, David Bowie, this is what it says about the song. A fan of Vivino's recorded the song Slip Away on his 2002 album Heathen as a tribute. The lyrics mentioned Uncle Floyd and his puppets, Oogie and Boney's Boys. When asked how he had learned of the show, Bowie replied, "John Lennon told me about it. He also mentioned Iggy Pop regularly watching the show." And whilst in Berlin in 2002 touring for his Heathen album, Bowie said, "This is another new song. It's about a television hero in America from the 70s that myself and Lennon and Iggy Pop used to watch in the afternoons. Crazy guy, and we were all addicted and used to love fooling around and watching this guy, Uncle Floyd, and his song is called Slip Away." Now, just to let you know a bit back about Vivino as well, he was a musician himself, featured musical guests on the show, local and well-known bands performed because of this, and you know, people like the Ramones, think about that, Bon Jovi, and Joe Jackson and Cyndi Lauper appeared on this particular show. From the small screen to the big one, in 1987, Vivino was cast as Robin Williams' classic film, Good Morning Vietnam, He also played Army DJ Eddie Kirk to Williams' Adrian Crooner. In April 22, Vivino revealed that he had been diagnosed with cancer both in his bladder and prostate. And in July 2023, Vivino suffered a stroke and was hospitalized. He had inspiration for this guy and love. And this is the song that inspired David Bowie to write about the man that inspired him and that inner child within to come back out. Him, Iggy Pop and John Lennon, amongst others. Take a listen.
From even called Slip Away. For just another day, drags his bones to see the Yankees play. Bones by toss, flickers grey, oh, they slip away. Once a time they nearly might have been Bones and Oogie on a silver screen. No one knew what they could do except for me and you. They slip away. Oh, they slip away. Don't forget to keep your head warm. Twinkle, twinkle, Uncle Floyd. Watching all the world and war-torn. There's never ever time. Some of us will always stay behind. Down in space, it's always 1982. The joke we always knew. Oh, what's the matter with you? Come on, let's go. Slip away. Oh, don't forget to keep your head warm. Twinkle, twinkle, Uncle Floyd. Watching all the world war-torn.
The xylophone. Wow, I had one. Oh my god. Xylophone there, look. Towards the end of that video, something of my childhood flashback, two things flashback. When he mentioned being in space in the lyrics of 1982, I'd moved from England in 1982 to come to Ireland to live, and I left behind my friends, my way of life, the street I was raised in from a child, all of it, and all my good friends. And it was a sad time for all the family. We all did, all the younger siblings. The two eldest siblings in my family stayed in England, and it just brings it back. We were lost in space. And then at the end of that, and I didn't know this particular program because in England we had our own, every country has their own children's program they all liked, and the particular one I loved was called Crackerjack. And I remember you could enter competitions and win paraphernalia like a pen or a pad or a bag of goodies. And I remember one year, after 3 years trying to win a competition, I won a pen, and I was so excited. And I ran up the street going, I won a Crackerjack pen. And within 2 minutes, my neighbour, who didn't like me, broke the pen and threw it on the ground and went, ha ha ha, and walked away. And I just thought, 3 years I waited for that. But the one thing I waited for and got was exactly what David was playing. It was called the xylophone. I'll have to get the spelling for that and correct it in the English. And you look it up on Google search, and that was like a little instrument that he was playing, and it made that kind of sound. And I remember getting that, and I thought that makes up for the Crackerjack pen being broken. I was so happy on my birthday receiving that, and I played it for hours trying to perfect it, but not quite like David. So yes, a lot of things in that video, because it's the first time I saw that particular live video. I'd seen another one and I chose this one. So it even surprised me. I'm really thrilled about this video now. It's brought it to life for me. So what else does it say? The Starman told Floyd that he always had the show, this particular children's show that inspired this song, on as he was getting ready to perform The Elephant Man. He also revealed that, again, I'm going to regurgitate some of the facts, that Beatle John Lennon introduced him to this particular show, and some 2 days decades later, Bowie called his acquaintance just before Heathen, this is the album that the song is on, Heathen's release, to tell him about Slip Away. But Slip Away and Afraid were recorded early last year, he said. At the time, as I liked these two so much, I just moved them forward to this album. We completely recorded Slip Away over one of Matt's great loop parts, Bowie told Livewire in 2002, way back, while discussing Heathen. Now back, he continued, in the late 70s, everyone knew I'd rush home at a certain point in the afternoon to catch the Uncle Floyd show. He was on UHF Channel 68, and the show looked like it was done out of his living room in New Jersey. All his pals were involved, and it was a hoot. It had a soupy sales kind of appeal, and though ostensibly aimed at kids, I knew so many people of my age who just wouldn't miss it. We would be on the floor, it was so funny. Two of the regulars on the show were Oogie and Boney's Boys, ridiculous puppets made out of ping pong balls or some such. They feature in the song. I just loved that show. So that's the end of where the inspiration came from. Now I'm going to give you an analysis of it. We've already talked about the puppets, and it says in verse 1, Oogie is described as someone who waits for another day and drags his bones to see the Yankees play, suggesting for David writing the song a weariness and longing for something more. Bones Boy, on the other hand, talks about flickers grey, possibly alluding to his fading memory and the deterioration of his fame, the puppeteer guy, because of health and you know, people change over the years. What was so popular yesterday is tomorrow's news, that kind of thing. And the phrase "they slip away" in the lyrics, for me, emphasise that transient nature of an existence. And Vivino's, or Uncle Floyd as he's known, existed, and suggest his dreams and potential were not fully realised even in the show, even with the popularity that it had. Now the chorus introduces the character of Uncle Floyd by David, possibly referencing, Vivino's eccentric character, preparing you for it, because the line says, "Don't forget to keep your head warm." Whether we all, I see in the puppeteer he wore a lot of hats, so I don't know if it's in reference to that, I don't know. But can be interpreted as a reminder not to lose sight of oneself, for me, if you were doing it metaphorically. This is what I feel it is. And it's about not, because David sings like that, he almost loses himself in that song. And he thinks about the time he ran home and how innocent it was and childlike it was. And wow, when you see David and you see his facial expressions and those eyes getting lost in space, he really, really loved that program. And for me, it's about the phrase "they slip away." It's about that transient nature, going from the reality to non-reality, and the dreams and aspirations of David at the time, all of that. So it's about dreams and reality of the puppeteer as it faded away, the popularity, but David's best memories are of that. So there's a juxtaposition, irony in all of it. I just think it's brilliant. And when it goes into the chorus, "Don't forget, keep your head warm," as I said, and then the repetition of "Twinkle, twinkle, Uncle Floyd," it really is a reference to war-torn worlds, really. The sense of delusionment and a desire to escape from the harsh realities of life is there. Because David was, on the crux of an album that for me was so underrated, and people didn't respond to Heathen as well as they should have. But it had extraordinary songs like that from David's childhood. So people missed out. They missed out. They really did. So go on YouTube, try and get your hands on Spotify somewhere with Heathens and check out David's music on it. You will be absolutely blown away. It's incredible. Incredible album. Now, if you go into verse 3, there's a deeper theme of time. It's unforgiving. Oogie acknowledges there's never enough time for some of us to achieve our dreams. So it's all about that continued theme of dreams and running out. And some will always be left behind. Well, even with me, I want to be known for doing great reactions, and I hope this is entertaining you, and then people to look back and say, wow, CC was pretty cool, I'm going to subscribe. The reference to it is always in the 1982, because even for me that brings back poignant memories of a transitional period in my life from England to Catholic Ireland, which was, and at a time where it was very fragile to move from England, be English, and come to Ireland. What we went through, and the reference is always about that era in time, and it may symbolize a sense of being trapped in that particular moment. Well, I can relate to that. I feel trapped, but I felt more trapped when David brought out the xylophone and started playing it at the end of the song. Oh good God, does that bring back memories. I really didn't expect that. I had watched some of this live performance and said that will be the one I'll have, but I didn't expect that at the end. So even I got a big thrill out of this. Now, in the outro, it states, coming out of the song, sailing. It mentions that particular word. And I feel, everyone, it's leaving the song open-ended and allowing for you, the individual, to interpret this song how you feel. And if you knew the show, and I couldn't find anything on YouTube to reference the show and give you a taste of it, I wanted to put that in the video as well. I'm just going to say it's about a metaphor seeking I feel it's full of metaphors, this. 82, Lost in Space. And we all know Space Odyssey and songs like that came out with David, seeking new experiences. Despite fleeting dreams, because the start of the 80s was a whole new decade of wonderment, music, era that we just couldn't have imagined at the time. We had the soulful 70s, but to explode into the 80s, everybody did their own thing, lived the way they wanted. And I think the Conservatives were running England at the time, Margaret Thatcher, and it was all about change and the rich being rich and the poor people feeling like they were rich people. It was incredible. And then my parents came to Ireland. We had the Catholic silence, bow your head when a priest walks in the room in your school, stand up when a priest tells you to stand up. I kid you not, it was, we missed out on the 80s. We really did. But, you know, do I have any regrets? No. I look back and I think they did the right thing. Not at the time, but now I do. And so slip away for me a sense of longing, nostalgia. Look at me reflecting it. And it's about, you know, reminding you to cherish your dreams. That's what I feel this whole thing is about. And even David's face on stage, he cherishes those dreams. And it's about that. And it's about slip away for me. It's don't let them slip away. Keep them. Hold on to them. Treasure them. It's about relationship you had at the time with a certain thing, and him with the song Vivino. It's all about that. And it's recognizing, I feel, the inevitability of change and the passing of time. It's part of our existence on this earth, isn't it? But hold on to your memories. And what a good way to finish this. And the xylophone, I'll always... I can still remember that. Oh, and do you know how we left it in the attic of our home before we came to Ireland? My father left all these toys and different things that are worth a fortune now, an absolute fortune. I'd love to have, when David was playing that, turned around and picked up the xylophone and went, ta-da! Oh, thank you for listening. I've been on a 1982 journey, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Bye.